Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, world? Welcome to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News. I am your host, Life Malcolm. First of all, want to give my deep and profound appreciations to DJ CEO and Mrs. DJ CEO, aka Tampa Bay Tammy, for providing this platform for the Life Malcolm Show and other shows on the network. Definitely want to give a big shout out to my super duper producer back in the chair when I'm on air. That's right, the one and only DJ ANA stopped by to help out tonight, even though she's moved on up in the world. She still stops by to take care of the little people she helped get started. And I really want to appreciate that. So official particulars. If you tuned in, wherever you're tuned in, I want you to know that you can tune in to the Life Malcolm Show on the In Touch News page on Facebook, on the In Touch News channel on YouTube, and you can go to www.intouchnews.com and check us out there as well. Also, you can call in. This is a call-in show. The number is 813. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. I'm about to give you my number. No, it not was for the number I was about to give you. The number is I was about to say after 813. The number is 813-444-9588. 813-444-9588, and you can call in and we can talk. Want to talk to you. I really do. But if you don't call, we won't talk. I'll talk. And I'm all right with that. There's a lot of things going on. That's not good English. There are a lot of things going on. Try to talk good English when I'm on the radio, but a lot of things going on, and we got to touch on them here and there as we close out the year. We want to definitely give the show a narrower focus as very important things unfold in our community and in the world at large. We're going to give a stab, get at a stab this evening. But before we get started with the heavy, you know how we do. We do a little something light, and then we get to the heavy. And this time, for real, fortunately, the light is actually kind of light. Light. And I want to just kind of tell you about my weekend. But before I do that, I want to give big, super duper, extra special love and appreciation to my best friend in recognition of his birthday, my main man, Dana Let, Dana Dane, D Let, Dana Let Man. Appreciate him so much, man. The brother and I have been friends, and I mean really good friends, brothers, since high school. So for over 30 years now. And the brother has never wavered, has always been a rock. And I'm so grateful that he's still around, alive, and kicking, probably kicking harder and stronger than ever. So just want to give my man a happy birthday shout out on his birthday today. Speaking of Dana, I'll tell you, man, I'm fortunate to have really good friends. I have some really, really good friends. I mean, some friends who are just like brothers, are my brothers. I can't even say just like brothers. They are my brothers. And I'm fortunate had it not been for my friends, I would not be half the man I am today. And I mean that sincerely. And since I'm talking about D-Let, I'll tell you about D-Let. This dude right here is very smart guy. His father is a very bright guy as well. Mr. Marcel Let, many of you all know him. And so Dana and I met each other at Jesuit High School. You know, that's where high school is where you meet some people and relationships might last for a lifetime. And I'm fortunate enough, not just good ones either, you know. So I'm fortunate enough to have met Dana at Jesuit, and while we were there, I would spend a lot of time at his mother and father's house. Shout out to Mrs. Stella Let, who was definitely an oak in our community, and I had an opportunity to witness how they being Mr. and Mrs. Let, you know, nurtured their children. And not only did I have the opportunity to watch it, but I benefited from it. I didn't grow up in that kind of environment. I grew up in the world. What's this doing? I grew up in the world where people, you know, that's not the same thing. I grew up. My super producer, a little rushed. We just knocking the rust off. Right? But I grew up in the world where my mother and my grandmother raised me. So Pops went around. Then my Uncle Junior boy was around, and Uncle Junior was a trip. He really funny guy, hardworking man, but I wouldn't call him a very intellectual type. But bright nonetheless in his own right. Could definitely handle a hammer and make sense of a mess around the house. Turn my grandmother's dreams into realities. He had that kind of skill. But I mean, when you talk about just being a scholarly type, I didn't grow up around that. And I think it's something to be said about scholarly types. I can even tell in my own life how knowing more stuff has changed me, but I'll get back to that in a moment. My grandmother was retired when I was born, and my mother was 34, and my pops was 36, and like I said, pops weren't really around much, but my point is, I was raised by older people. They're old now, but certainly older people, and a little rough around the edges sometimes, if you ask me. And don't get me wrong, I don't have no regrets about my upbringing. I'm just telling you how it was, because this is how it was. And I'm getting to a point. There was a lot of hollering at my house. I don't know if them old people just couldn't hear well or what, but there was a lot of hollering and screaming. And not, nasty, mean type hollering, but the kind of hollering that just made it seem like everything was urgent. Like, go in there and turn that TV off. Like, oh Lord, like, if not the TV gonna blow up. Go, we'll let the lights on. Oh Lord, just a lot of just hollering, this intense energy. And at the Dana Let house, it was just everybody had a little mellow voice. All the commands didn't even seem like commands. Matter of fact, they probably weren't commands. They probably just requests. Will you do? Please go in there. That kind of thing. And so, as Dana and I matured into adults, we began to. Because as children, I thought everybody acted a damn fool like me. I was always, that's what I knew. And Dana was always cold, cool, chill. And so Dana and I, not too long ago, just a few years back, we talked about how different we are, uh, you know, uh, regarding our personalities, despite our closeness and despite our Gemeinschaft. And Dana, being a very bright guy, summed up or analogized our existence juxtaposed one to another and said that he's like a glacier and I'm like the volcano. They both have incredible potential and incredible kinetic energy once they get moving. But one has that chill, still energy, and the other has that fiery, raging type of energy. And I thought that was a pretty good analogy. And all I wanted to do after that was learn how to get my glacier on, because I could see how beneficial it is to be a glacier. And I really appreciate my friends who have tolerated that volcanic foolishness for so long. I mean, granted, the fire has its place, but the cool energy, the same type of energy, in a less raging way, is just as magnificent. So I've learned. And so, these guys, Dana in particular, have allowed me to learn from them and become patient. And I'm so happy. This morning I was at the gas station getting gas. And I walked in, I'm in lines, a dude in front of me. This in the morning too, everybody I guess hustling out trying to get to work. And this dude in front of me got like a quart-sized Ziploc bag full of quarters, shopping at the front window with the, let me get that in. Let me get that. How many quarters? And you had to have some glacierness to, just to deal with that situation. And in came a volcano, got behind me like, oh, hell no. And what the hell? This stupid. And all the stuff that I can't say. I mean, it's going off. Can't wear a number about this big, but just going off to the point that when the man with all the quarters walked out, I told the brother, I said, hey, brother, go ahead. Go right in front of me, brother. You seem like you in a hurry. So the brother went on ahead and did his business. Then he went outside and he hollering at the children in the car, hollering at the woman in the car. I don't even know what this African hollering about. And he jumped in the car and sped off. And I thought to myself, I'm so grateful to have such good friends, because I used to be that kind of fool. And I am so, so glad that I've learned from them and learned myself. Not to be that kind of, because I never want to look like that. If I'd have known I looked like that when I would behave that way, I would have stopped. And now, mind you, I've been better. I've rehabilitated been rehabilitated over the past 20 years or so. But I'm just saying, just the fact that, like I say, me and Let have known each other for 30 years, so people put up with that foolishness. And it's nothing but straight up foolishness, and I'm so thankful that I've learned just to be patient, because I have babies who watch me, who, not when I say babies, of course Aisha is 24, and Journey is 14, and Yaya is 12. But I have babies who look at me for leadership, for answers, for examples, and I cannot betray them by being one of those parents who say, do what I say and not what I do. I got to walk it like I talk it. All right, we'll be back on the other side of the break, man. Happy birthday, D-Let. I appreciate you. And this is the Life Malcolm Show. Hope you call in, talk to me, 813-444-9588. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web. In Touch Radio. We're playing your favorite old school.
Ain't nobody loves me better. Makes me happy. Makes me feel
Today's R&B.
Carry magic in the
With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Listen to In Touch Radio anywhere. On your phone.
I'm listening to it right now, man.
In your car.
I'll keep that going.
On your computer. It's a new world, baby, and we are global. In Touch Radio.
Yo. All right. Here we go. Back at it on the Life Malcolm Show. Welcome back. I really want to appreciate you. I'm hearing me. Yeah, I'm hearing myself. Oh, thank you. Need to knock my own rust off myself. All right. All right, cool. All right. So, one of the things that have definitely helped me be a better African, a smarter African, not just my friends. Like I said, there's something to be said about learning, about educating oneself, elevating oneself by educating oneself. I'll say it that way. And I've grown to be a smart African because of the African People's Socialist Party. Chairman, under the leadership of Chairman Omala Yeshitela, and the influence of the party and the chairman have transformed me beyond measure. Before I met the chairman and the African People's Socialist Party, and I'm holding this up because this is the Burning Spear newspaper, the organ of the African People's Socialist Party. And if you want to be a smart African, you have to read the Burning Spear newspaper. I'm gonna say it like this right here. If you don't read the African People's Socialist Party's newspaper, the Burning Spear newspaper, you're not a smart African. And I'm gonna say that has two meanings. You're not a smart African because if you were smart, you would read it. You're also not a smart African because if you read it, then you will be smart. You can't be a smart African without reading the Burning Spear newspaper. And I know, you think you're a pretty smart African. I did too. Oh yeah, I knew some history. I knew some. Had traveled a few places around the world, and of course, all over the country. By the time I met the party, by the time I heard the chairman, and not just heard the chairman speak, but heard the chairman teach. I then graduated from Jesuit High School, got accepted into the United States Naval Academy, and I thought I was a pretty smart African. Had been going around speaking and preaching and, teaching, if you will. Then I realized, man, I'm not smart at all because my entire worldview, my entire philosophy was the philosophy of the colonizer. Everything I thought came from my colonizer's brain. Every perception I had of the world was was guided by the colonizers' belief system, the colonizers' theory, how the colonizers said it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to go. And so I was smart for the colonizers' best interest. But any African who's smart for the colonizers' best interest, any colonized person who is smart for the colonizers' best interest is not a smart colonized person at all. In order to be a smart colonized person, you have to be smart in your own interests. We have to be smart in our own interests. And so, it's a pretty good issue. I mean, they're all pretty good. But a lot of people talking about Afghanistan right now, and those, especially those Africans who think they're smart Africans, they can chime in on it. As a matter of fact, I think you can go almost to any part of the hood, barbershop, beauty salon, cafeteria, corner, whatever, and say Afghanistan, they're going to have something to say. Many, I would say, Africans going to be like, well, they shouldn't leave our troops over there. What's wrong? Some kind of wacky conversation. We shouldn't have been over there in the first place. Now, I agree with that, but they have a different rationale as to why we shouldn't have been over there in the first place. If they want to kill themselves, they want to do that, this and that to themselves, then let them do that. And, we shouldn't have been over there in the first place. And I wish they had that whole idea when it comes to us, because them the same Africans that be like, but we need the police. They be like, let the outsiders don't have to go over there to Afghanistan and be all in their business. That ain't none of our business, no way. But then they welcome the outsiders to come and get in our business, right? Because they're not smart Africans. But listen, I'm going to give you the opportunity to be smart, like me, like every member of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement. We're smart because we get educated. Not smart because, I'm going to tell you, I did a lot of schooling, especially in the recent few years. Spent a lot of money to do it. I wouldn't say that was smart either. And none of that schooling, all them classes, all them books, all them teachers, none of it compare. And I mean this on everything I know and love. None of that stuff helped build my intellect, my scholarly aptitude, my understanding of the world anywhere near as much as the African People's Socialist Party's theory of African internationalism that you can find right here in the Burning Spit newspaper. So I said a lot, but now I'm going to read some stuff to you. What's going on? I see y'all watching. I got my little Facebook thing now. I can see people coming up. Hey, Christina. What's up, Stanley? All right. So, the truth about Afghanistan, the big headline on the paper is the truth about Afghanistan. Colonialism, the graveyard of imperialism. So now I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to just jump in at certain parts that I think extremely important for you. The chairman says, this is written by Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Actually, it's transcribed from a speech chairman made. There's never been an instance where the Afghans, so there's a subtitle. The subtitle is Fight and Win Against Colonialism, Not Racism. That's a lot of smart Africans. The smartest, supposedly the smartest. They're all on TV every time you turn around talking because they think they're smart. Always talking about racism this, racism that, racism this, racism. The smart African, however, knows, because Chairman Omali Yeshitela teaches, that we must fight and win against colonialism, not racism, and says, there's never been an instance where the Afghans as a people sought freedom from imperialist domination by being friends with the colonizers. There is no anti-racism that the Taliban talked about. They understood that they had to take their freedom away from the colonizer. Just think about them having come to a conclusion that their main slogan should be, hands up, don't shoot, which is another way of saying, I surrender. as opposed to the tremendous resistance that we've just seen in Afghanistan. Of course, for that resistance to occur with the tenacity that it did in Afghanistan, it had to be a belief system upon which it rested. People are talking about the corruption of the ousted Afghan government, a government put in place by the U.S. They talk about how the Taliban has ended corruption and opium production. You are talking about a group of people that had a philosophy that believed in something. Whereas when you look at the people put in power by the United States, some of them have not lived in Afghanistan for years. Some have been in the U.S. as business people or working with the U.S. against colonized people in another place. These are people who don't believe in anything. These colonizers quickly discovered just how meaningless their resistance was to the offensive by the Taliban, because the Taliban and the people who united with them believe in something. They believe that they have a right to their own country, their own land, even if that belief system is wrapped in religious clothing. This is a people with a powerful, unshuddering belief that an outsider cannot break, whereas the colonizers and the neo-colonialists don't believe in anything. All right, that's one part. Get to this other part I want to read to you. What you think about that? You call me and tell me. We could talk about it. We should. But if not, just listen. Learn something. Yep. And listen, let me tell you something. You can become a smart African today. All you got to do is holler for $1 and get this Burn and Spit newspaper. Get your smart African on. The chairman goes on to say that, I see you. Let me see. Start right here. The APSP has always said that, no, I know what, I skipped the part I wanted to go to page 8. If you have your Burning Spear newspaper, please turn to page 8. All right, DJ, cut the music. I can't find my damn page. Where did I go wrong? All right, I had my should have had my scriptures together. You done heard how they say on it was page 6. You heard them say in the church, charge it to my head, not to my heart. Amen. All right, page 6. Here we go. That's what we're looking for. All right. So the chairman goes on to talk about how the Afghans built what you call dual power. The Afghan people have fought heroically. People have made the comparison between what happened in Vietnam and Afghanistan, because in Vietnam, you had people who have been colonized by Japan, France, and the U.S. The people fought for years. They had the advantage of a revolutionary party in this instance. It was not an Islamic party. It was a revolutionary communist party that recognized the need to win national liberation from France and then from the United States under the leadership of an independent working class revolutionary party. In Vietnam, you also had the arrogance of the colonizers. The colonizers never believe that they are going to lose until they find their heads in the noose. And in Vietnam, you saw the colonizers on top of the buildings leaping off onto helicopters to get out of there. They assumed they were going to be there forever. The same thing happened in Afghanistan. They said, how did this happen so quickly? We had thought that it would take 6 months before the Taliban could ever take power, and they did it in 7 days or so. How did that happen? But it didn't happen in 7 days. It happened because the Taliban leading the resistance had a program. They had tactics and strategy. They had a deep and profound organization of disciplined forces who carried out the mission. The Taliban had been building dual power. Different sectors of the Taliban had been building dual power. Different sectors of the country were being occupied by the Taliban. They collected taxes and had a relationship with the people. Sounds like I got to go to break. We'll be right back with page 14 after the break. This is the Life Malcolm Show, y'all.
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong, and during the week, I'm affectionately known as the Medicare Lady. Do not try to navigate Medicare without me. Please call me at 813-476-4837. I also do life insurance, and I will help people who are Medicare, Medicaid. Once again, 813-476-4837. 4837.
When it comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
All right. Welcome back to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News. We doing some smart African work, reading, taking a moment to read this very important piece from the Burning Spear newspaper, talking about Afghanistan, but the chairman makes a sharp and stark comparison to African people in the U.S. Chairman says that there can be no coexistence between capitalism and what people like to refer to as socialism. Colonial capitalism as a mode of production must be destroyed if there is going to be the socialism that so many people claim to desire. Also, it's really important to understand the significance of Africa in this struggle against global colonial capitalism. Part of what building its failure into its own system means is that millions of African people who were kidnapped away from our mother country, Africa, and yes, we said country, we understand that those colonial borders imposed on our mother country are nothing but illegitimate borders put in place to separate us, have us thinking that on one side of the border we German, on the other side of the border we French, and on the other side of the border we Portuguese, and that kind of foolishness, and get mixed up and messed up. Just like over here, we can't tell when we look in the mirror at our own African self that we African. We think we some kind of American. We think we some Jamaican or Haitian, instead of understanding that we are one African nation, just born in different places because colonizers spread us all around for their benefit. But back to the lecture at hand. African people who were kidnapped away from our mother country, Africa, and spread throughout the world represent strategic, economic, and political entities necessary for the ongoing functioning of the whole colonial capitalist system. We are a colonized people, and we have to be united in one struggle because there is no solution for any of us within the artificial borders created by the colonizers. The colonizers created these borders to suit their needs and then created a situation that imposed false national consciousnesses on us. We have to have one party, just as Marcus Garvey talked about. That's what we've been building in the African People's Socialist Party. The African Revolution is located all over the world, and increasingly, that African Revolution is being connected by the work of the African People's Socialist Party with the African Socialist International. This is the strategic linchpin for the defeat of colonial capitalism globally and the emergence of a new kind of social system. You cannot run around trying to seek solutions dealing with the situation in Afghanistan and any other place in the world that does not recognize that the colonial question is the primary question. The fact is that the whole African people globally live under colonial domination, just as in Afghanistan, where where people picked up the gun and fought. We have also done that inside the United States. Africans have done that. Puerto Ricans have done that. Oppressed people everywhere have been able to do that, and it's just a struggle. And Africans have done that. Let me say that back there. I can't mess that up by that. The fact is that African people globally live under colonial domination. Just as in Afghanistan, where colonized people picked up the gun and fought, we have done that inside the United States. Africans have done that. Puerto Ricans have done that. Oppressed people everywhere have been able to do that, and it's a just struggle. The reality is that anytime you have a people who are colonized, any means that they use to end colonialism and any attack that they make on colonialism is self-defense. It's not a matter of having to say that the police shot at somebody. That's not the real question. The fact is the police are the military occupation force in our communities. So any fight back is an act of self-defense made against colonialism. We've got people who are today locked up as political prisoners. Ruchell Magee, Sundiata Acoli. People claim to love Assata Shakur so much, but they don't unite with the struggle against colonialism. That's what these comrades were fighting against. You can't give proper support to them without recognizing that African people as a group are fighting against colonialism. The African Revolution and the anti-colonial movement of the peoples of the world have to step forward and claim their rightful place as the leaders of this revolutionary project. The African People's Socialist Party has to assume our responsibility and leadership throughout the African world as the advanced detachment, the general staff, the vanguard of the African Revolution. All right, now, if you sat there and listened, you are now officially on your way to being a smart African. We ain't fighting against no racism, some idea that's in somebody's head, and whether they like us, and trying to figure out how to train them to not be racist, and all this kind of foolishness, and praying for them, I guess, and forgiving them when they racist, canceling them. No. That's foolishness. We, as the chairman so clearly and aptly put forth, we have to organize in our own interest to take power. We have to be organized to take power, not to take some liking, some favoritism or something like that. No, we have to take power and control over our own lives. I plan on talking to you next week about the police. Not the police in general either, but the Tampa Police Department. And I try not to talk about them too much on this program because they don't deserve that much airtime. But as of late, you got these, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in our community. And as of late, you got this stuff, I guess they call it renting while black. I've heard it phrased that way. Well, now, there's this big story. It's a white man. Not an African. It's not in the Burning Spear. We should have wrote the story. But hell, I wasn't faced with the issue. Nobody talked about the issue. I don't know why we went to some other organ to talk about the issue instead of making our plight known to the people who have the organizational capacity to win when we unite. Well, actually, I do know. Again, that's the consequence of not being a smart African. But anyway, the story came out where there's this relationship between the police and landlords in Tampa, the Tampa Police Department and landlords in Tampa. And they're getting together, and the police lock you up, sometimes make up something and to charge you with, because many times the people don't even get convicted. So they just make up something, put something on you, give you a charge, then call your landlord, and next thing you know, the family or somebody in the residence is on the outs. Something like that. I don't know the whole scoop. That's why I said next week we're going to talk about it, because I got to learn a little bit more. But I've just been catching bits and pieces about it, and people have been talking about it now for about a month, so I figured it's worthy of some consideration. We're going to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it in the context of my own personal experience with the Tampa Police Department. Because what I'm understanding right now is that the Tampa Police Department denies that they have this kind of relationship, and certainly this kind of relationship with, and this kind of influence on these landlords that end up making these people homeless. You know, and imagine that, right? They make you homeless and then blame you for being homeless. Yeah. They make you homeless. They call your landlord, say he was driving with suspended driver's license, and then we arrested him. And then the landlord kick him out the house. And then when you homeless, they mess with you for being homeless. You should see them. I see the police all the time. What they breathing down the necks of homeless people, not trying to help them, right? Matter of fact, I heard some not smart African on the radio talking about this situation, and the not smart African said, so the question, somebody asked her the question, what do you think about the crime? What they got some goofy name for the program about to kick people out of their house, the Stop Crime program. And the not smart Africans say, well, we need the police. And I'm so glad that they have the police, because I'm old and I got to sleep at night. And some of these people, they come over here. We have nice neighborhoods. She live, in public housing. And I'm not saying it can't be nice public housing, but, she seems like to see the contradiction with the fact that the capitalism, colonial capitalism, forces her to have to live in this type of situation. And instead blames the people and says, the people, they just come over here and they break stuff. And so, then they break it and they don't repair it, and they don't keep up the yard, and they just run our neighborhood down. So, yeah, the police need to be over here and get them people out of there, because they won't let. And then they ask that same African, well, what do you think about kicking the guy out because he has suspended license? Well, I don't think that's fair, because some people can't afford to get the driver's license unsuspended, and so that they shouldn't be kicked out for that. And I'm thinking to myself, ain't that something? Imagine that. She can understand that, or at least conclude that the guy with the suspended license shouldn't be kicked out of his home because he can't afford the license, because that's an economic problem. But she not smart enough to understand that the reason why the people break stuff and don't fix stuff is an economic problem too. It ain't just because the African want to go to the nice neighborhood and break stuff and tear it up and don't fix it. Hell, I know people right now who own their homes, and if something break in the house, they can't fix it. They don't just break the stuff in their house because they want to. They don't just leave the stuff broken because they want to. And then, to make a point, really drive it home. And she had some neo-colonialist cop on chime in with her, to my, well, you have the broken homes theory, and if you had the broken homes, then the people care less about the neighborhood. Not broken homes, broken windows theory. You had the broken windows theory, and if and the people don't care about their homes, then they don't care about their neighborhoods, and the neighborhood get run down. And so I say that just because people have broken windows don't mean they should have broken homes. All right, we're going to take our last break, and we'll see you after this. You can call in 813-444-9588. This is the Life Malcolm Show, y'all.
Tampa Bay Tammy. Tune in to In Touch Radio.
Let's share something about ourselves.
Reality radio, where everyone is a star. In Touch Radio.
Smooth Soul is In Touch Radio.
All right. So, yeah, like I was saying before the break, and by the way, welcome back to the Life Malcolm Show. Feel free to call in 813-444-9588. And right before the break, well, in case you missed it earlier, we read from the Burning Spear newspaper talking about being a smart African today. Not fake smart either. Not fake smart, but real smart. Real smart. Smart in your own interests. Organized in your own interests as the African working class. Get this paper right here. And you can get it from me. Or if you can't find me, you can definitely go to apspuhuru.org. That is apspuhuru.org. apspuhuru.org. And then you'll see a link that says the Burning Spear, and you can click that link and grab your Burning Spear newspaper. Become a smart African. Amaze people. Mesmerize them with your brilliance when they talking about the world, and they don't even know the right way to approach the question, because they don't even know what the right question is, and you can dazzle them with your brilliance, and, your African working class theory of I have to be careful, because I know them people listening, man. I got to get the right word for you and them. They know you can dazzle them with your brilliance, because they know you have the African working class theory geared towards making the world a better place for all people. Yes, they will. And so, yeah. But back to what I'm saying, so that's how we've been dealing with the show. And right before break, I mentioned that next week we're going to talk about the Tampa Police Department. And one of the things we're going to talk about is how the police lying. The Tampa police lying. And I know that might come as a surprise to some of y'all who ain't smart. But there's smart Africans who know for sure the police, Tampa police. I'm not just talking about this is not the kind of philosophy that says, all police ain't bad. Hell no. All police are occupiers. Every last one of them are colonial military occupying forces in the African community. Save none. And so, when I say the Tampa police, I want you to know that I know these people. This is a special counterline group right here. They have no qualms about pissing in your face and calling it rain and telling you better like it, because you ain't going to get no rain nowhere. You ain't going to get no better rain than this right here. Yeah. And so I've lived it, got record. That's what, next week I'm going to come with records, with proof of the lies that the Tampa Police Department tells the African community. I can't say that word, but the bull stuff. How about that? You know what I want to say. Yeah, the bull stuff that they tell the African community. Yeah, and then tell us it's for our own good. So next week we're gonna have that robust discussion about the Tampa police. But as we come to a close, I want to tell you about my weekend. Did I tell you about my weekend? I didn't tell you about my weekend. All right. So at the beginning of the show, I talked about the fact that I'm fortunate to have good friends, and I am. One of my good friends is Crystal Murray. Miss Work. She be out here making it happen. She's a bon vivant, pulling people together, right, in some of the most festive ways. And she is also a cancer survivor. Proud of her for taking that struggle on and overcoming it and coming out on the other side looking magnificent and shining that magnificent light on the rest of us. She put together this amazing event this past Sunday and featured singers, included saxophonist Marlon Boone was there. Forget this other lady's name, Valerie. I can't remember her whole name, but Valerie, the singer, incredible. My main man, Tremaine Lamar, was there. The Beatdown Band held it down. And the legendary Chubb Rock was in the building and dropped the old school party on us to close out the night. Crystal invited me as my guest, myself and my family, and I was able to convince my teenage daughters to come along with me to this affair. And, they accompanied me, and I had such an incredible time because Crystal, I look different. If you've never seen me before, you would. I look, but I look very different than I did before I left Tampa a few years back for a few years. And so people, I'm up in the crowd. People walk right by me. People I know who ordinarily show love, they walk right by me like, what? I'm like, oh, maybe I did something. But it just looked different. And, I'm off in the cut. But Crystal, my friend, Miss Work, called me up to the front of the room, right in front of the stage, and stopped the host from hosting. My man Nate Thomas was hosting the show. Stopped Nate from hosting, pulled me right up in front of the stage, and made everybody stop what they were doing and look and say, hey, this man right here, this is my friend. This is Life Malcolm, and I want y'all to show him some love. He just passed the bar exam, and he's our lawyer now. And I really appreciated that because a lot of people whom I had not seen in years, who did not know I was in the building, immediately after I walked away from that very special presentation, people just came up to me, man, like with so much love and appreciation and encouraging words, and expressing how inspiring the story, my story, is and has been for them. It was just so cool, man, to see so many people. I got a chance to see my main man, Sean Brown, incredible musician, keyboardist, singer, whom I had not seen in a very long time. My man Pascal. It was just amazing. And my homegirl Paulette, who does a thing with PE. She's like PE's road. That's Public Enemy. Public Enemy's road manager. And just my man Percy, who does the detailing. Just so many people. My man Vic, Victor Lee, and it was just love in that building, and for the first time since I've been back, it just felt really good to be home. Really, really good. So I appreciate you, Crystal, for that, and definitely owe you for both the invitation and the presentation. And my daughters and the pictures that my daughters and I took are priceless. So I don't know how I can ever repay you for that. So yeah. Oh, and I got to slap hands with Chubb Rock. And you know, what I mean, you know who Chubb Rock is? Wow, because you don't seem impressed. I said his name like 2 times. You weren't like, what? Chubb Rock? You know, yeah, treat him right. 1990, Chubb Rock jumped upon the scene with the mean. I was born in 87. Oh, you were born in 87? You were like 5? Yeah, okay, well, that's like, also, not this weekend, but yesterday, I was in the parking lot and bumped into Hulk Hogan. You know who that is? I do. Oh, okay. Yeah, and so I shared that news with a couple of people. They're like, yeah, they were born in 92. And I was like, okay. Actually, they were like, Hulk Hogan, ain't that the old guy on the commercials? Man, I used to watch the Hulkster every Saturday religiously. Yo, I think it used to come on at 11 o'clock. Maybe on channel 44, WTOG. Might have been channel 28, but I want to say it was channel 24. And, yeah, you know, the whole that was before it was WWE. It was WWF. And it was just an incredible time, you know, every Saturday watching it with all your friends and cousins and whatnot. It came on right after cartoons and Super Friends and whatnot. And so, yeah, got a chance to, you know, bump into the Hulkster. And also, yesterday, for the first time, this is old white man with the nicest heart. Always out in front of the courthouse. You can find him outside with this little red and white megaphone and speaker box playing his Christian music. And I don't know if he's singing, but he's certainly lip syncing. I don't see that vein popping out, so I don't think he's singing. But just a really, you know, really cool guy. And we've known each other at least just by bumping into each other at the courthouse for years, like decades now, at least more than a decade for sure. And, you know, every time he sees me, it's like nothing but handshakes and hugs. And I said, man, let me get a picture with you, because I don't even have no picture with you, man. I've been knowing you all this time. We don't have a picture together. So we took a picture together, and that made my heart so happy. Yeah. All right. So I guess as we close, I got like a minute. Got 2 minutes. All right, cool. Earlier, I talked about my friend Dana Lett and his birthday and the influence he had on me. But in having that discussion, I also talked about how I've had a long, long struggle, you know, overturning the influences that shaped the childhood influences that shaped my character as a young adult, and perhaps even a young old adult, you know. And I came across this African proverb that probably sums it up. And the African proverb says, instruction in youth is like etching in stone. And that does not just go for good instruction. Whatever you show your children, whatever you teach your children, even if not directly but indirectly, you will etch it in them. So make sure that whatever it is you're teaching, instructing, showing your children, you are right. You are all right with it being with them forever. And I can't be with you forever, but I can be with you next week. I appreciate you being with me tonight, and I look forward to the next time right here on the Life Malcolm Show. We talk about the police and lie pants on fire. Yeah. All right then. All right. Thank you so much. To be continued.